Good morning. Welcome to our third session of ePMP Now. My name is Sakid Ahmed. I have with me Dan Sullivan.
Hi, Sakid.
Hi, Dan. Both of us are going to talk about today. Actually, Dan's going to do most of the talking, and I'll do a little bit of Q&A. But today's topic on ePMP Now is the BSA. Right, Dan?
That's right.
The BSA, the beam steering antenna.
Right.
Sometimes confused as the Boy Scouts of America.
That's right.
That was what I thought first. But
Well, yeah, so we thought we called it when we started the project.
that's right. But we have now settled on the beam steering antenna, which is also a smart antenna.
Yes, definitely.
Excellent. So today's agenda is we're going to get into a little bit of the details of how the beam steer antenna works,
Yep.
The technology behind it, more importantly, when to use it, and of course, any caveats or conditions where beam steer antenna may not give you what you're looking for and what the reasons behind it and how to choose it for the right purposes.
Yeah.
Along with that, Dan, I think we're going to get into our actual system in our lab, and we will show the beam steering
That's
antenna
right.
works.
We have a live system in our lab, 32 SMs. 16 of the SMs are ePMP, 16 are elevated, and we'll show how it doesn't matter which SM you use, it works the same way.
That's a good point. And since you use the word elevated, might be an opportunity to show the audience why we're wearing these bright orange vests. The reason we're wearing these orange vests is they actually say, elevate your network in the back. So as we're doing this video, we are promoting our Elevate solution.
That's right.
Okay. So with that, Dan, I'm going to do a little cheating here and read a few questions. I think that helps.
Okay.
So let's see. First and foremost, the beam steering antenna. When should a customer use the beam steering antenna? That's the most common question people ask.
Well, I think the prime use case that the product was developed for was when you would have uplink interference that lowers your overall throughput in the uplink. So oftentimes you would think of this as a 90-degree sector. That's what the product's designed for. It can work up to 120 degrees. You can go even narrower if you'd like to. But if you have strong uplink interference on channel, or even like on part of the channel, or on all your spectrum, you're trying to find the best channel, this is one more tool in the arsenal to fight that uplink interference.
Why did we choose uplink interference as a problem to solve as opposed to downlink and uplink?
Well, true, there is downlink interference, and the reason though we chose the uplink interference though is the access points, they sit so high up in the air that they catch all the interferers from everywhere, right? And you know, really close in, really far out, anything shooting up. That's why we wanted the uplink interference.
And would you also say that because you are access point on a tower, there's other people's equipment, we work in unlicensed spectrum, so there could be many devices talking towards you.
That's
right?
absolutely right. That's right. So we have this we have our unlicensed spectrum where everyone shares. You hopefully cooperate. Sometimes, as we know, it doesn't happen. And this is one way to help you survive or to thrive in an environment with neighbors that might be using the same spectrum.
Okay. So I think what you're summarizing, Dan, is that the beam steering antenna addresses an uplink interference problem, which is very common.
Yep.
But it specifically addresses what we call the co-channel interference. So if I'm speaking a certain language and there's other access points next to me that are also speaking the same language, in other words, the same frequency,
Yeah.
I'm actually able to create narrow beam patterns.
That's
and
right.
reject some of that noise from the neighboring products.
That's right. So it could be completely co-channel, or it could be just 5 megahertz of the co-channel. But it definitely will do that for you, what you say.
Okay. We also have a sector antenna, right? When you deploy an ePMP 2000, you have a sector antenna and the beam steer. Explain a little bit for our audience today the decision-making process on when we choose the sector antenna and when we choose the beam steering, and how often that happens, or how do we decide?
That's right. So what we do in our products is we first try to figure out the best smart antenna or BSA antenna pattern to use for each individual subscriber. So let's say you had 60 subscribers or 70 subscribers in your sector. What you would do is for each subscriber as they register the very first time is we go through a process of picking the pattern that gives the best overall RSSI for that antenna. Okay, for that subscriber. So the patterns change and point individually to each subscriber based on RSSI. Then what we do is we'll run tests with actual data packets in the uplink to see what the throughput is for the beam steer antenna and also for the sector antenna. Because there are cases where you might have better throughput on your sector antenna.
We'll have to come back to that one. That's an interesting topic, but we'll get into it. But proceed, please.
Okay, so once you've done that, you run these throughput tests, and you do it on both your polarities, on your horizontal polarity and on your vertical polarity. And then what happens is once you've figured out who's got the better throughput, then that antenna is used for that subscriber for a period of time. And you had asked a question, how long does it do this for? Because as we know, interference conditions change.
That's correct.
So typically it goes for around 10 minutes and then it will do it again.
Interesting, interesting. So what I'm learning today is that the algorithm is very unique in the sense that it's making decisions based on unique subscribers. It's not for the entire sector. You are looking at signal conditions, i.e. RSSI, for a particular subscriber. Then we're going to a next stage and we're actually doing a throughput test, comparing the performance between choosing the sector for both downlink and uplink, or just the beam steering for uplink.
That's right, that's right.
Reminds me, I should highlight that to our audience, that the beam steering antenna, at the end of the day, is only meant for uplink.
That's right, only uplink. You always use the sector antenna for the downlink.
So your algorithm description, doing an analysis based on RSSI, then doing an analysis based on performance, per subscriber, for about 10 minutes, you will choose one or the other antenna.
That's right.
And then you will rescan again and you will go through the algorithm. And when you do that, there is no impact to the actual state of the subscriber registration.
No, none at all.
In the background.
It's all done in the background, doesn't affect your throughput. The whole idea is you want the overall highest throughput that you can get with either antenna.
Excellent, excellent. That's quite impressive. That's quite impressive, the solution. Now, the question I have is, because we're doing this per subscriber, is it fair to say that once I deploy an ePMP 2000, maybe there will be subscribers that will sit on the sector antenna and never actually go to the beam steering antenna?
Yeah, absolutely, that could happen. So let's give an example. Let's say we have a 90-degree sector.
Would it help you to draw by any chance?
I could do that, sure.
Let's do a little drawing.
Oh, I got stuck. Oh, well,
so, your microphone might want to pick up.
Oh, no, I dropped my microphone.
Okay.
So,
ladies and gentlemen, this is what it means to be live.
Live, yes.
Okay.
Okay. So, you might have an access point up in a tower. And you have, let's do this. You have your sector antenna. And below here, you have your mounted BSA. Okay. And you might have, let's say, an SM. Let's say it's at plus 20 degrees azimuth. And then you might have another SM at minus 20 degrees azimuth. Okay. So, but let's say that we have interferer, and the interferer is pointed up, and let's say it's, I don't know, it's back here, a little further away, because it's a competitor for some reason, they have it, and they point it in a general direction, and it's, let's say, at plus 18 degrees.
Okay.
Okay, so in this example, Sakid, which you were getting at, if I have a smart antenna, what it'll do, if I have a sector antenna and I have this subscriber, let's call this subscriber A and subscriber B. Subscriber B, if we just use the sector antenna, will hear this interfere all the time.
Right.
And so it won't have a benefit. And so just using the sector antenna will cause decreased throughput. But if you go to the smart antenna,
what'll happen is it'll direct a pattern towards this subscriber. Whereas over here on this interfere, now it starts to deafen itself to it. And what the result is increased center.
Center being carrier to interfere noise ratio.
That's right, and that results in increased MCS.
But what about the condition where it's the sector that's giving you better performance? In which scenario would that happen?
So let's go to this one up here. So up here, the sector goes here, and it still sees the interferer and your subscriber, your intended subscriber. Now when the BSA points its pattern towards the subscriber, the problem is it's still pointed towards the interfere.
Right.
So now there's really no benefit where the BSA is giving you increased center. And I just want to mention that with our best-in-class front-to-back ratio sector antenna, it really works well. So in cases like this, because it's such a high-performing antenna, you can expect to see that this SM may perform better with the sector antenna as opposed to this BSA.
I see. So speaking off camera, that is an interesting scenario, and I think that is an important topic, which is that essentially because there's an interferer very close to the subscriber module, at which point if we direct a beam steering antenna pattern towards that,
That's right.
we are going to pick up the interferer.
That's right.
We're probably not going to positively impact the signal to noise ratio.
No.
But in that case, the sector antenna, which actually is slightly higher gain than the beam steering antenna, will provide a net benefit for the subscriber.
That's absolutely right. The sector antenna, which is a very good gain, will then probably have a benefit at that point and use it.
So the summary of this would be the source of the interference plays a direct role in when beam steering antenna will give you a benefit or not. So the good news is the system, and therefore the algorithm, takes care of that challenge, and it is transparent to the end user.
Yes.
People operating this equipment don't have to go make that selection. The algorithm is taking care of it. Having said that, we do give the manual option to choose a beam steering antenna or the sector antenna for a customer to be able to do some experiments to see which one plays.
That's right, absolutely, that's true. So we do provide the ability to leave it in automatic mode and function as we described, or what a user can do is they can test it out on their own.
Right.
They can put their entire sector at the AP in automatic mode, or they can put it in forcing it to like the sector antenna if they desire. Or they can force it to the entire BSA. Or what could be done is you could go to each individual SM and run the same tests. Run it into sector mode, run it into smart antenna mode, and then have individual subscribers controlled that way. So we give the user total control if they desire.
And to end this segment, one of the things I want to highlight, picking up on what Dan is saying, is that the beam steering antenna is an investment that not only addresses challenges today, but if you don't happen to have a high interference environment today, you are protecting the investment from future interference sources. Right?
That's right.
Because you don't know if there will be a competitor showing up or if there will be other interference sources appearing 6 months or a year down the road. You don't want to make that second tower climb. Install the BSA on day one. Protect yourself from the future interference. The second point is that if you are in a rural environment, let's say your noise levels are not too high, chances are in many cases there, you will notice that your subscribers are going to sit on the sector antenna more so than the beam steering.
Yeah, that could definitely happen.
Right. So before we move to a segment where we actually log into our system, there is one other topic I want to touch on for our audience, which is, are there any conditions where the beam steer may not do well if the interference is uncertain?
Yeah, let's talk about it. And actually, I don't want to say it as it doesn't do well. I want to say that our sector antenna perhaps shines. Okay, so let's be positive. So the sector antenna, what it does is it has an elevation beam width, right? So when it's shooting down at a certain amount, the lobes are coming out here. And what it does is it really does well down to, say, +5 to -30. It has, strong reception of signals. But what's beautiful about the antenna and how it's designed is below -30, it goes way back and there's very little gain. So if you were to have, say, an interferer really, really close to the AP shooting up, this sector antenna will be doing a good job of taking care of your interference, similar to the BSA, what it normally does. So that's why the sector antenna is such a valuable component in buying in the overall solution.
Okay. So what you're saying is depending on the source of the interferer, once again, there are scenarios where the sector will be choosing itself.
That's
over
right.
The BSA. I guess I should
That's
say
right.
the radio should choose the sector over the BSA. Okay.
Oh,
great.
can I give just one other
Sure,
thing to
please,
think about? Now, another thing is sometimes customers, you want to have a very narrow sector, right? So if you have a sector antenna you purchase, which is, say, a 30 to 45 degree antenna, what you're doing is you're actually kind of doing smart antenna or BSA functionality. You're narrowing that beam so that you get to specific subscribers and you miss the other interferers. So something to consider as you get narrow and narrow, that could be something that would affect that too.
So if you end up choosing a very narrow sector antenna, in that case, the BSA, in that case, the BSA may not show you the benefits because your third-party sector antenna is quite narrow.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you for the visual, Dan.
All right.
With that, we're going to move to the next segment where we'll actually log into a system, and I will let you walk through the setup and explain to our audience what we're looking at.
Yeah, very well. So this is an access point that we have down in our lab below. And you will notice that this is an E2K access point, and it has a smart antenna here. It's connected and powered on. Oh, and look, we have 32 registered subscriber modules, of which 16 are elevated subscriber modules. So doesn't matter, they're treated the same. It's just another SKU of hardware.
Great point, great point.
Right.
And that's an important point to highlight. So next week you'll see a session on elevation, but the point Dan is making is those 16 subscribers are third-party units that have been elevated using our ePMP solution. And one of the benefits of being elevated is that they are going to enjoy the benefits of the beam steering functionality.
That's right. Anything that works on a normal ePMP piece of hardware works exactly the same on any elevated hardware. There's no difference.
I should thank the person that came up with that idea.
I should.
That might have been you.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, God.
Okay, so let's go from there and take an actual test here. We'll go to the wireless link page, and we have 2 subscribers that we'll look at.
Maybe tell us a little bit about what we're seeing in the wireless link
yeah.
as well in terms of the beam steer.
Sure. So what we have here is we have 3 ways to do a test, a link test. And what we've added is auto mode, which when you use a smart antenna, this appears, these features, and it automatically selects the best antenna to do the link test with. Okay? And then, if you want, you can force it to a sector antenna, Sakid. So you can say, I don't care what you want to do, I just want to use a sector antenna. Or what you could do is you could force it to the smart antenna. And the same functionality is available at the SM also, if you choose to do that there. Okay. So what we have here is the ability to let the test run in this way. Now, with our normal functionality with link test, we have a couple of subscribers we want to look at. The first one is an ePMP subscriber. It's 10.120.224.9. Oh, and you can see right here are the 32 subscribers we talked about earlier.
Which I think our audience is seeing in our screen back here, I believe.
Okay. And what we have, just real quickly, is, picturing it, is on one side, we have ePMP subscribers, the 16 ePMP subscribers.
Right.
In the middle is an interferer. Oh, it's a low-grade interferer, not a high interferer. And on the other side, we have our elevated subscribers. Okay. So first, we're going to take a look at one of our ePMP subscribers. Okay, so if we just do a regular test in automatic mode for this first ePMP subscriber, and we look at the uplink throughput, the results, it is getting somewhere around 45 megabits per second.
Is this interferer on or
The
off?
interferer is currently on right now.
Currently on.
Yes, that's right. Now, if I go to the sector antenna and I run the test here.
Sorry, in automatic mode, do we know which?
No, we don't.
Okay.
It just chooses whichever one gives the best throughput. So it's a very good question.
Okay.
So here I force it to the sector antenna and we can see what the sector provides. And with this interferer, it's somewhere around 33. So we didn't create a terrible interferer. And that's
Remind the audience for the first data point. When you ran it in automatic mode, so let me clarify a little bit for our audience that when we choose the automatic mode,
Yes,
we are letting the base station and our software choose which antenna to use.
that's right.
The interferer is on
That's
throughout
right.
this whole test.
That's right.
And the number we saw in automatic mode was about 42 or
45.
45 megabits per
45,
second.
yeah, that's right.
Okay. And now you have gone and forced the test to use the sector antenna.
Yes.
And with that, we're seeing 32 megabits per second.
Yes. So
Okay.
we have an active interferer running in a system which you would actually see in an environment. And here's the point I want to make though. Even with interferers, Sakid, our product with E1K, or even if you don't have like a smart antenna, it still overcomes interference. So we have an interferer in a lab, in right in there running, and we can still operate fairly well in the uplink.
A little bit about the interferer for the audience. Maybe in a future session we can show some images of our lab and what we are doing there.
Yeah.
But fundamentally, this interferer is a constant interferer.
That's right.
So
We have
it's transmitting continuously at a high duty cycle or moderate duty
We have
cycle?
an actual ePMP radio set up with a test program that just generates traffic.
Okay.
So
And
just,
sending it towards the upper.
that's right.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay.
All right, so we've shown that at auto mode, we're at 45, and at force sector, we're at 32. And now if we go to force smart antenna and we run the test there,
This is where drum rolls would come handy.
yes.
Very nice.
Mm. Oh, okay,
Okay, still running the test.
yeah.
Besides that, I think one of the other things as this test is finishing up is we also want to be able to show in this wireless view how subscribers are showing a sector versus BSA, and maybe a little bit about the angle explanation to our audience.
Okay.
What that does.
Okay, hold that thought.
Please.
So the final result for the smart antenna was 49.
Ah.
Basically, the auto was running the smart antenna in this
It was
case.
choosing the best option.
That's right. This time the test ran a little bit better, had a little bit better throughput, but in general you can see that it did choose the smart antenna for the benefits that it provided. Now just to show, we've done the test, but the same exact test, it works for an Elevate subscriber. So now we've selected an Elevate subscriber and we can run the exact same tests. So here I'm going to start it. You can see that it's not an ePMP subscriber because the first three octets are different.
Right.
Not 00, 0456. Okay. So we run the auto test. And here it's at 43. We'll do the
Okay.
same test with the force sector antenna. And we're down to 29.
Okay.
We go to the force smart antenna just to compare it. .42. So it shows the same thing, that it's working off the smart antenna here.
I think what we are learning from this exercise, Dan, is that at the end of the day, based on what you drew over there and what we are seeing, the source of the interferer, where it's coming from, is directly related to what kind of benefits you'll see from the beam steering antenna.
That's an excellent point, because if we went through, well, we won't, all 32 of these subscribers, they would have different profiles. And you probably would get some of the subscribers right next to the interferer, and you would show basically no benefit. And it might even be benefiting with the sector antenna, and it might choose that.
Excellent, excellent. So we have attempted to explain the beam steering functionality, how it works, how the benefits are, and thank you very much, Dan, for
Yeah.
going through the details. It's a complex topic. We're happy to take questions offline. As you know, our forum, you can post questions there. Both Dan and I monitor it,
Yeah.
and we'll respond. We can also, the request of the audience, have a follow-on session if we want to
Yeah.
get into this deeper. But hopefully this was helpful, and hopefully we are able to convey the benefit of the beam steer. And with that, we will wrap up today's session.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Thanks, Sakid.
And I wanted to highlight before we finish that next week, again, 10 a.m. Central Time, we will have a session about elevating subscribers.
I can't wait.
Yes,
I can't-
I'm looking forward
I
to
know,
that
that's
too.
very exciting to me.
We're actually going to have live third-party radios go through a whole Elevate session and upgrade, so that if there are any doubts on how to do it, hopefully we can
Yep.
squash it.
So you'll elevate something and within 2 minutes it'll like do
That's
network
right.
entry.
That's right.
Oh my gosh, can't believe it.
Great. So thank you very much.
All right.
And we hope to see you again here from Rolling Meadows, Cambium Networks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dan.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thanks everybody. Bye.